there were cables that actually WikiLeaks released. And a friend who's a great journalist, Branko Marcetic, who's been looking at the Ukraine conflict with a critical eye, he sorted through these cables. And he found all of these diplomatic cables from the prior era where you had NATO allies, you had U.S. officials who were all saying, hey, guys, Russia has red lines here with regard to Ukraine. And floating NATO membership with Ukraine is a real violation of their hard red lines. And we're very fearful. And they laid out exactly the trajectory that we could find ourselves on. Now, that doesn't deny Russia agency or, Putin and the Kremlin agency for invading. No one made them do that. However, it is to say that, there was a time when you were allowed to acknowledge that U.S. policy could lead to this exact event. And now when you even suggest that us, floating NATO membership with Ukraine and saying that they were going to be made apart, that some of these things were exacerbating and they crossed the red line and, created a situation that was incredibly tense where this is the predictable outcome. Again, you're not allowed to talk about that now.
Well, it's also like, to bring back the chess analogy, is if you looked at war and you ignored the human casualties and the horrors and the fact that it should absolutely be avoided at all costs and all human deaths are valuable and bombing apartment buildings and all the horrible shit. It's terrible and evil. But this isn't like that we are being fed a narrative that Russia made a big move and there was no other moves.
Right.
And when we find out about the moving of weapons closer to Russia, the discussion of them joining NATO, and you realize Russia is getting moved on. There's moves. Now, you absolutely be correct in saying the correct response is not blowing up apartment buildings and starting a war and invading a country. You're right. But this is not an unprovoked situation.
It didn't just come out of nowhere from a madman.
And we're not getting this narrative on television. This is a new time. And the only way to get this discussion is you guys. It's people like you. And that's what's so fucking important about today. And that's what's so dangerous about censorship. And that's what's so dangerous about these partisan ideas where you're willing to absolutely ignore good points that the other side says, because then you would give them some sort of credit in winning this ideological bullshit game we're all playing.
That is so well said.
Drives me nuts.